I'm Azaria Bennett, 27 years old, born and raised in the small town of Ridgewood, Colorado. My family wasn't wealthy, but we had a warm home and dinner on the table every night. My father, Daniel Bennett, is a high school math teacher. My mother, Linda Bennett, manages a small clothing boutique in the local shopping district. On the surface, it all seemed fair, but from a young age, I realized an uncomfortable truth. In my parents' eyes, my older sister Madeline was always the prized jewel, and I was the shadow behind her. Madeline is 2 years older than me, blonde, blue-eyed, effortlessly beautiful, and forever the center of attention. My parents never hesitated to give her everything: dance lessons, cheerleading camps, new outfits every season. Meanwhile, I had to work part-time from the age of 16 to afford art supplies or design software. Whenever I pointed out the disparity, my mom would smile and say, "You've always been more independent, Azaria. You're stronger. Your sister needs more support." It sounded reasonable, but to me, independence wasn't a choice, it was survival. By the time I was 20, I'd moved out, working full-time at a print shop while taking night classes to finish my graphic design degree. Madeline, on the other hand, stayed at home until she was 25, when my parents gifted her the down payment on a condo as a graduation present after her third attempt at community college. I'm not jealous of her, but I know exactly how hard I fought to earn my place. After 5 years at Summit Creative Agency, I worked my way up from a junior designer to a lead on major projects. I'd just been awarded a substantial raise for landing a high-profile campaign, and for the first time in years, I could finally breathe. But I also knew one thing. No matter how far I'd come, at family dinners, my story could be overshadowed in an instant by Madeline's smile or the sparkle of her engagement ring. After completing the biggest project of my career at Summit Creative Agency and receiving a substantial raise, I decided to do something just for me. Not an investment, not padding my emergency fund, something purely as a gift to myself. A reminder that all those years of hard work were worth it. I chose a pair of real diamond earrings. Growing up, I had never bought anything expensive simply to make myself feel beautiful. I remember my teenage years, standing behind a grocery store register for hours just to save up for a set of paintbrushes. So the idea of walking into a high-end jewelry store and picking something solely for me, not out of practicality, not for anyone else, felt both luxurious and a little reckless. But this time, I wanted to break the rule. I started searching and came across Langford Jewelers, a renowned shop in downtown Denver. Crystal chandeliers, gleaming glass cases, staff in tailored suits. I'd walked past it many times, but never dared to step inside. Yet, on that Tuesday morning, I took a half-day off work, slipped into my favorite navy blue dress, styled my hair in soft waves, and applied subtle makeup. I wanted to feel like someone who belonged there. Pushing open the heavy glass door, I was greeted by the soft strains of classical music and the faint scent of luxury perfume. A sales associate welcomed me with a warm smile and asked what I was looking for. I told her I wanted a small but high-quality pair of diamond earrings, my first real purchase. When those sparkling stones were laid out in front of me, my heart raced. This wasn't just jewelry. It was proof of my effort, of the nights spent working late on campaigns, of the countless times I'd pulled myself through challenges without expecting recognition. I didn't know then that this decision to buy a pair of diamond earrings would be the starting point of a chain of events that would change my life entirely. I was listening intently as the sales associate explained the clarity and cut of each diamond when the store's doorbell chimed. Normally, I wouldn't have noticed, but the voice that followed made every muscle in my body tense. "Oh my God, Azaria, what are you doing here?" Madeline's voice rang out, high-pitched and drawn out, loud enough for everyone in the store to hear. I turned to see her standing at the entrance, flanked by her 2 college friends, Brianna and Kelsey. Madeline wore skin-tight white jeans, a pale pink silk blouse, and heels that made her tower a good 3 inches above me. Her freshly highlighted blonde hair fell in perfect waves over her shoulders. "Isn't this place a little out of your league?" she added, her eyes sweeping over me from head to toe like she was appraising a stranger. The sales associate, Tara, kept her professional smile. Your sister is looking at our diamond collection. Would you like to join us? Yeah, we're sisters, Madeline laughed. Though you'd never guess it. Are you shopping for costume jewelry? I kept my voice steady. I'm looking for real diamond earrings. I just got promoted. At that little design firm of yours? That's impressive, Madeline said, her tone sweet but dripping with sarcasm. Brianna stifled a laugh while Kelsey pretended to be absorbed in a bracelet display. I felt heat creep up my cheeks but replied, I can afford them. I've been saving for months. Madeline raised an eyebrow. If you had any financial sense, you'd invest that money instead of wasting it. But then again, you've always had a knack for bad decisions. I took a deep breath, determined not to let her bait me into a fight. Still, hearing those words spoken here, in a place so refined, in front of strangers cut deeper than I wanted to admit, what I didn't know was that this was just the beginning of a storm much bigger than I could imagine. I was about to turn back to the earrings when Madeline stepped closer, her eyes sharp, as if she were hunting for a weakness. Just admit it, Azaria, she said loud enough for her friends and a few nearby customers to hear. You're only buying this stuff to overshadow my engagement announcement, aren't you? I froze. What? Buying earrings has nothing to do with your engagement. Oh, please, you hate that I'm the center of attention. You're always trying to steal the spotlight. I gave a bitter laugh. You've always been the center. I've spent my whole life in your shadow. Our back and forth began to draw more eyes. I noticed both the staff and an older couple stopping to watch. Tara, the sales associate, tried to smooth things over, holding the earrings up to my face and saying, This style really complements your complexion. I smiled at her and said, I'll take them. Madeline jumped in immediately. I can't believe you'd drop thousands right after I announced my engagement. Typical you always selfish. I felt the heat rise in my face. Madeline, this has nothing to do with you. I've been saving for months. I'm buying something for myself. And your idea of for yourself is a stupid waste of money. Honestly, that's so you. She folded her arms, smirking like she'd just delivered the final verdict. I swallowed down my anger, trying to stay calm, but inside, each of her words slammed against my pride. The humiliation, the condescension right here, in a place I thought would bring me joy, was building fast. I had no idea that in just moments, things would cross the line completely. I was about to turn to Tara to finalize the purchase when Madeline suddenly stepped closer, her heavy perfume filling the air between us. You're always trying to prove something, Azaria. And for what? So people will pay attention to you instead of me. Her voice was sharper now, loud enough for everyone in the store to hear. Not everything is about you, Madeline, I replied, forcing my voice to stay calm. This has nothing to do with your engagement. Her eyes flashed with sudden fury. Before I could step back, her hand came up and smack. The sound cracked through the quiet air like a whip. My cheek burned instantly, my ears ringing for a few seconds. The room froze. The classical music playing in the background suddenly felt distant, and I could feel every pair of eyes locked on us. Brianna and Kelsey stood frozen, avoiding eye contact. Tara stared wide-eyed, still holding the sparkling earrings in her hand. A security guard by the entrance began moving quickly toward us. I pressed my hand to my cheek, stunned and aching, my heart pounding. In 27 years, through all our arguments, Madeline had never struck me. And yet, here we were in an upscale jewelry store, and she had chosen this moment to cross that line. I opened my mouth to say something, but the words caught in my throat. Humiliation and anger surged together, making me want to walk out and confront her all at once. Before I could decide, a deep, commanding male voice rang out from behind me. Touch my wife again and see what happens. Madeline and I both turned. Standing there was a tall man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, his eyes cold as steel. And I had no idea that those words would mark the turning point of not only that morning but my entire life. I turned and saw a tall man, late 30s, in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. His dark hair was neatly styled, his jawline sharp, as if carved from stone. But what struck me most were his steel-gray eyes, steady, unflinching, locked directly on Madeline. Did you just say, wife? Madeline stammered, the arrogance from moments ago replaced with uncertainty. That's right, he replied, his deep voice carrying effortlessly. And I don't appreciate seeing someone strike her in public. He stepped forward, placing himself partially between us, an unspoken shield. The air in the store felt taut. The security guard paused mid-step, assessing the scene, while Tara glanced between us, her expression puzzled. As for me, I was completely confused. I had never seen this man before in my life. Madeline tried to regain her composure. She's my sister. This is a family matter. You don't need to get involved. He turned slightly toward me, and I caught a flicker of surprise in his eyes as he got a clearer look at my face. You're not Claire, he murmured, then quickly recovered. My apologies for the mistake, he said, turning back to Madeline. But your behavior is unacceptable. I stood frozen, caught between bewilderment and an odd sense of safety, a strange comfort I'd never felt when facing off with Madeline. It took me a moment to register who exactly I was looking at. Harrison Cole, founder of Vertex Technologies, a name that frequently graced the covers of business magazines. And I had no idea that this bizarre encounter was about to open a door I never imagined I'd be invited to walk through. After defending me in front of Madeline, Harrison Cole leaned toward me and asked quietly, "Are you all right?" I nodded, still a little shaken, but honestly there was something oddly comforting about having a stranger step in right when I'd been humiliated. Madeline tried to recover. We were just joking. Sisters, you know? Nothing serious. But Harrison kept his eyes on her and said, I saw exactly what happened. Belittling someone and then hitting them is never a joke. His tone was calm but firm as steel, and the entire store went silent. Mr. Langford, the store owner, approached, apologized to me, and politely escorted Madeline and her friends out. I said nothing, just watched her leave, not feeling the slightest urge to smooth things over for once in my life. When things finally calmed down, Harrison said, I was heading to Copper Oak Cafe around the corner. If you don't mind, I'd like to buy you a coffee, consider it an apology for the mix-up, and maybe to talk a bit more. I hesitated for a moment but agreed. Sitting in a quiet corner of the cafe, we began talking. He explained that from behind, I looked so much like his wife Claire, from the height, to the hair color, to the navy dress I was wearing, that his reaction was immediate when he saw me get slapped. I told him about my work at Summit Creative Agency, the campaign I'd just completed, and why I was buying the earrings. Harrison listened intently, nodding occasionally, then surprised me by saying, Vertex Technologies is looking for someone with expertise in digital media integration for a new project. From what you've said, I think you might be a fit. If you're interested, send me your portfolio. I nearly spilled my latte. Opportunities like that don't just fall into your lap, especially from a chance encounter. I smiled. I'd love to. As I left the cafe, I still couldn't believe that just a few hours earlier, I'd been choosing earrings, and now a completely new door had just opened in front of me. That evening, as soon as I walked through my front door, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Texts from Mom, from Dad, and a string of missed calls, all with the same message. Call me back right now. Madeline is very upset about what happened at the jewelry store. Not a single mention of her slapping me. I sank into the couch, took a deep breath, and called back. Mom answered immediately, her tone sharp. Azaria Bennett. What on earth happened today? Madeline says you caused a scene, drew everyone's attention, and embarrassed her. I kept my voice steady. Mom, she slapped me in front of customers and staff. A complete stranger had to step in to stop her. Don't you think that's the real problem here? There was a pause before she replied. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. You know Madeline is under stress with the wedding. No, this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was wrong, and no one should be excusing it, I said firmly. Do you even know who the man who stepped in was? Harrison Cole, the founder of Vertex Technologies. He saw it happen and called it completely unacceptable. Dad's voice came from somewhere behind her. Azaria, we don't need outsiders getting involved in family matters. I gave a short, dry laugh. If family matters means letting someone be humiliated and hit in public without anyone speaking up, then I'm not interested in being part of that kind of family. The silence on the other end grew heavy. Mom finally said, her voice cold, "I'm disappointed in your attitude. Come to Sunday dinner, talk this through properly, and I expect you to apologize to your sister." I answered simply, "I'll come if I want to, and I will not apologize for standing up for myself." Then I hung up. My heart was pounding, but inside, I felt lighter than I had in years. For the first time, I'd drawn a real boundary with them. Sunday came faster than I expected. That afternoon, Mom texted, "Dinner at 5, dress nicely." Not a single word about the jewelry store incident, as if everything would just go back to normal if no one brought it up. I intentionally arrived 10 minutes late, wearing black jeans, a forest green blouse, and my new diamond earrings. When Dad opened the door, his face showed a mix of surprise and mild disapproval. "You're late," he said instead of hello. I just smiled and replied, "Hi, Dad," before heading straight to the kitchen. Mom was arranging a salad and looked up. "Azaria, you're here. Can you help set the table?" That familiar request was something I'd always agreed to, but this time I said, "Before dinner, I want to address what happened at Langford Jewelers." The air immediately tightened. Mom forced a smile. "That's over. Your sister's busy with wedding plans, let's not complicate things." Madeline appeared in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. "You're still hung up on that?" It was nothing. "No, it was something," I replied, my voice calm but firm. "You slapped me in front of a room full of people. That's not nothing." Dad walked in, trying to smooth things over. "Let's just keep dinner pleasant." But I didn't let the moment slip. "I'm not here to fight. I just want it understood that I won't stay silent if I'm insulted or physically attacked again." No one spoke for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, Madeline's gaze dropped to my earrings. "They actually look good on you," she said quietly. I studied her face, searching for the usual sarcasm, but her tone seemed sincere. "What happened at the store? I shouldn't have done that," she added, not quite meeting my eyes. "Thank you for saying that," I replied. "And your ring. It's beautiful. Congratulations." It wasn't full reconciliation, but it was a start. And for the first time in years, over that dinner, I didn't feel completely on the outside looking in. A few days after that family dinner, I got an email from Harrison Cole. The subject line was simple: "Interview at Vertex Technologies." My heart raced as I read. "Azaria, our creative director, Amy Sullivan, was very impressed with your portfolio and would like to meet with you this Friday at 2 p.m. That Friday morning, I put on a tailored navy suit, my diamond earrings catching the light like a quiet reminder. Vertex's headquarters sat in the heart of downtown Denver, a sleek glass building with a lobby lush with greenery. As I stepped inside, I spotted Harrison near the reception desk. "Glad you could make it, Azaria," he greeted me with a warm smile. The interview took place in a sunlit conference room. Amy Sullivan was sharp yet approachable, asking deep questions about design thinking and problem solving. I spoke about the campaigns I'd led, especially the recent one that helped Summit Creative land a major account. Harrison sat in, offering only a few questions, but the encouraging look in his eyes boosted my confidence. When the interview ended, Amy said, "We'll be in touch next week, but I have a feeling this could be a great fit." I left the building feeling both relieved and anxious. 3 days later, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Harrison's voice came through. "Congratulations, Azaria. We'd like to offer you the senior creative strategist position at Vertex. Double your current salary, plus stock options and a personal development budget." I almost couldn't believe my ears. On my first day at Vertex, I was shown through the open, vibrant workspace. Claire Harrison's wife stopped by to greet me, her smile warm, saying she'd heard a lot about me. I knew I'd stepped into a new chapter, one where my work and worth would finally be recognized for what they truly were. Since I started working at Vertex Technologies, my relationship with my family began to shift, small changes, but noticeable. At first, I kept my distance, only responding to messages when necessary. Then, one Thursday evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Madeline, I've been thinking about what happened at the store. I was wrong to slap you. I'm sorry. I read it over and over. No excuses, no deflection, just a simple apology. I replied briefly, "Thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it." A few days later, Mom called to invite me to her birthday dinner. Her tone was softer than usual. "Your dad really wants to hear more about your new job." For the first time in years, the invitation didn't feel like an obligation. The dinner was surprisingly warm. Dad asked about Vertex's headquarters and the project I was working on. Mom didn't interrupt, even nodding when I mentioned the personal development budget the company provided. Madeline sat quietly for a while before suddenly saying, "You actually seem like a great fit for that job. And those earrings look really good on you tonight." "Thank you," I smiled. Short as it was, I knew it was a big step compared to years past. After dinner, as everyone was leaving, Madeline pulled me aside. "Trevor told me I was out of line that day. He's right. I'll try not to let that happen again." I looked at her, seeing sincerity instead of defiance for the first time. "That's enough for me," I said. I left my parents' house that night feeling lighter. Not everything was fixed, but for the first time, I believed I could maintain a relationship with my family without sacrificing my boundaries. A month into my job at Vertex Technologies, I realized I'd changed more than I thought. It wasn't just the higher salary or the sleek office, it was waking up each morning knowing my work was valued, my voice heard. I'd reorganized my life, moved into a new apartment closer to the office, decorated my workspace with plants and natural light. My diamond earrings now rest in a small wooden box on my vanity. I don't wear them every day, but whenever I need to remind myself of my worth, I put them on. They're not just jewelry, they're a symbol of the moment I decided to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. My relationship with my family isn't perfect, but we're learning to respect each other's boundaries. I no longer expect their validation like I once did, but when it comes, I appreciate it. Madeline and I aren't close friends, but the exhausting competition between us has eased. Looking back, I see that it all began with something that seemed awful, being slapped in public at a jewelry store. But that moment forced me to stand up, speak the truth, and opened a career opportunity I never imagined. If there's one thing I want to share, it's this. Your worth doesn't come from someone else's approval. It comes from how you see yourself and the boundaries you set to protect that worth. Sometimes, painful moments are the catalyst that push you into the strongest, most confident version of yourself. And sometimes, the most powerful answer to anyone who tries to make you small is to stand tall, lift your chin, and let your own light shine without asking for permission. Azaria's life completely changed. From the moment her own sister slapped her in the middle of a jewelry store, it was a public humiliation, a wound anyone would want to erase. But Azaria didn't let it become a scar of weakness. She turned it into a turning point, a reminder that your worth is not defined by what others think, but by what you've worked hard to achieve. From that painful moment, she learned to set boundaries, to never allow anyone, even family, to diminish her. She realized that sometimes you can't wait for others to recognize your value. You must recognize it yourself first. That determination opened the door to career opportunities she had never dared to imagine, and more importantly, it changed the way she walked through life with confidence and self-respect. This story isn't just about a slap, it's about the power of standing up for yourself. Life will always have people who try to make you feel small out of jealousy, bias, or simply because they're used to your silence. But you have the right to break that script. You have the right to rise higher, to shine brighter, and to live the life you truly deserve. If you're facing a situation where someone makes you doubt your worth, remember this. Your value cannot be taken from you unless you give it away. Invest in yourself, believe in your abilities, and don't be afraid to protect what you've worked so hard for. Thank you for watching this story. If it resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button to support, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss more inspiring stories. Let's spread this message together. Your worth is priceless, and you deserve to live like it.